so this is the Launchpad X, and this is brand new this week. Actually, this is the very first time we've had this out in public. And the great thing about the Launchpad X is we've really kind of changed and refined the workflow to it. So you can see here, the first thing to notice is the design. We've gone a lot slimmer. We use a USB-C connection, so in the box is a USB-C to USB-A. And the pads have been kind of nicely worked on. We've got a really great feel to it. But also we've added quite a number of kind of new things as well. So if you're familiar with the older Launchpads, you would have had a session page, a mixer page, and then 2 user pages. You can see now we've got a different layout here. We have a session page, so I can do my usual sort of thing of launching clips very comfortably in the Ableton session window. I can move up and down, scroll left and right, access basically any part of the session window I want, and do the usual stuff of launching clips. If I press this button again, now I get my mixer controls. So rather than being on a dedicated button, we just can tap or toggle between session and the mixer page. Now we go to our faders. And you'll notice here we have a nice gradual fade, but this is interesting. If I press lightly, it has a slow movement, and if I press hard, it comes down quickly. Now the reason for this is that these are actually now velocity sensitive pads. So, you know, there's quite a big kind of, let's say, a nod towards the Launchpad Pro in this kind of behavior, but really it's kind of bringing a lot more control and expression, let's say, into the workflow of the Launchpad or Launchpad X. So we've got the usual stuff here: pan controls, send controls. We can stop clips. Again, the nice thing is here we don't lose any sight of the session window in Ableton. We have the mute control, so I can bring things in and out happily with that as well. Solo, so I can isolate a track just to listen to that. And I can also record arm as well. So if I go to my record arm, and I'm going to just press on this button here, and then the button next to the session page is the note mode. This is a brand new mode. Again, very kind of, let's say it has a nice kind of relationship with the Launchpad Pro here, because if I press note now I am controlling a drum rack. And this is automatically going into drum rack mode.
And this is just a small drum pad section that you can trigger now at this point.
Absolutely, so I can just trigger all my drum sounds. But if we go back to the session window, let's say actually no, I want to control a chromatic instrument. I want to play like a piano sound. So all I've done is just moved my track using the record enable here, go to note, and now, actually I'll just go to this mode first to show you. Here I have a full chromatic keyboard. So this is an octave, and I have all of the notes here. Now, you'll see some of the notes are lit and some aren't. This is because it's representing a scale. Actually, I have access to all 12 notes in the scale, but let's say I'm not so great on the music theory side. I want to just, you know, play around in a scale without any kind of wrong notes available. Press and hold note, turn the scales mode on now, and now I have a whole load of different scales that I can choose from. So we'll stick with this one, which is a minor scale, go back to note mode, and you see the layout has become much more concise. But even better than that, we can say, okay, actually that's great, but maybe playing across a whole line like this is going to be difficult to do. So let's turn on what we call an overlap. So I've switched on an overlap of 3 now, and now I can play the whole scale just using 3 fingers here. So now that's going to give me the full range of the scale just under those 3 fingers. So it makes it a lot easier to kind of control and play your instruments.
And what you said, if you don't have that much knowledge of music theory, the colors definitely help addressing the right buttons, right?
And actually you can use this to get used to different sort of music theory aspects as well. Because if I go to my note mode setup here, you see here this little line is giving me my white notes, and this line here is giving me my black notes. So actually that's the same layout as a traditional, you know, normal piano keyboard. So as I press the different notes here, I can then see what notes are going to be in that scale. So I could even, if I wanted to, you know, learn my scales just by, you know, researching them directly on the Launchpad if you really wanted to. So that's the note mode. Another important button here is the record button. Now, this is a really neat feature. Let's say I'm just going to play around and play some stuff. You know, obviously we're not listening to it. It doesn't really matter. It's just for demonstration. But I'm just playing some stuff, and I think that was a brilliant idea. I really wish I'd recorded that, but I hadn't hit record. Well, if you press and hold this button, basically now it will give me that recording, and you can see now it's captured all of that. So Capture MIDI, which is a brilliant feature of Ableton Live 10, this allows us to retrospectively record. So I don't have to be in record to do it. I can just press and hold that and it will remember what I've played. So you never need lose that moment.
And then you will get all the MIDI notes into your DAW, Ableton in this case.
Ableton in this case, and it's created this clip for it directly. Now it's important to note that this is its integration into Ableton. It's a MIDI controller. It will work with other software as well, but actually to get this kind of deep level control, it's definitely an Ableton controller.
Yeah, it's built with Ableton in the back of Novation's mind. Yeah.
It's a lovely little segue to talk about the last section I want to mention on here, and that's this custom mode. Now, out of the box, we've added 2 custom modes, and you can see here, this is like a keyboard, you know, black notes here, white notes here, so 4-octave controller keyboard. So I have 4 custom modes on the Launchpad X. Number 1 is the drum pads, number 2 is the keyboard we've just seen, and then number 3 and number 4 normally will be blank. But we've added some mappings here, and I just want to show you this, and it'd be nice to show the screen of the computer for this as well. So on here, I can just say, okay, let's send factory custom mode to number 3 here. Now it's clear on the Launchpad. But let's go for a new custom mode. So create custom mode, and let's say I want to add a fader here. Maybe I want to add a drum controller here. Maybe I want to add some MIDI notes, I don't know, here and here. Okay, and actually, yeah, let's get a crossfader here. So this is a vertical crossfader. Okay, now I can say, okay, this one, let's, yeah, keep that note message, but maybe I want to change the color to being pink. Let's click on this one and say, actually, we'll make this a different controller number, number 8. We'll make that orange. Let's grab this and say, okay, let's make that green. And so we can define all of these things. Now I've created a completely customized mapping.
It's your mini customized studio.
Completely.
Sick.
Whatever you want it to be. And now I can just hit center Launchpad. We're in here on custom mode 3, so let's send it to custom mode 3. Bang, there it is. And now I have my fader, my crossfader, my MIDI notes, and also my drum pads. So and automatically just puts it directly in there.
And if I want to switch now to another custom mode, you have send B and you can instantly switch to another one.
This is another custom mode. Again, we could very quickly create an easy custom mode for this. In fact, we have 4. The first 2 come with 2 kind of pre-prepared ones. They're only really suggestions of the sort of thing you can do. Using the Novation component software really opens this up. So the point to me showing that is, of course, we have this very nice deep level control of Ableton Live. But actually, this is a control surface that can be whatever you want it to be. It can be faders, it could be notes, it can be a keyboard, it could be whatever you want. So it will work happily with anything that works with MIDI. In fact, before I came over to Amsterdam, I was working using, well, actually the Launchpad Mini. I'll mention that in a moment, but I was using the Launchpad Mini to create a controller mapping for my Electron Octatrack, which is my little sampler performance device. And, you know, managed to create faders on this, then a whole load of muting switches, sample record switches. It really is a powerful device. And you have, on the Launchpad X, 4 of these custom modes. Then I should mention very quickly as well the Launchpad Mini that we have here. So the Launchpad X has been given, let's say, its own space. This now occupies kind of the mid-level of the Launchpad range. The Launchpad Mini is the entry level, and really that's designed for launching clips in Ableton. So with the Launchpad Mini, you get all the great stuff that you have on the session page, so you can navigate your way through your live sets and launch them quite happily in Ableton. But in addition, we've also got 3 really powerful custom mode. In much the same way as we have our custom modes here, we've got 4 on the Launchpad X. We have 3 of the same on the Launchpad Mini, and the way that it works with the software is exactly the same as well.
So the Mini can also be like a small studio controller that controls Ableton in a hardware perspective.
Absolutely, yeah. Whereas the Launchpad X is a bigger device, the pads are bigger, you know, but we also have velocity sensitivity, aftertouch, a bit more kind of, let's say, refined control on here. Whereas the Launchpad Mini, which is the entry-level point, will allow you to trigger and launch clips, no problem, but equally create your own custom mappings that, as you say, allow you to really create your own kind of little mini studio, but in a mini format.
Great, thank you, Chris. Later we'll post a full review on Inside Audio. Keep an eye on that, and thanks for watching.